All right, you knew I had to. So I woke up and I was like, all right, I gotta fucking watch this other one, right? So the Woman in Black, as I had said in my Daniel Radcliffe review, the 2014 one, 2000. What year was that again? Doesn't matter. But the one with Harry Potter. This one is from 1989. This is the original. This was a made-for-TV British film, and it's one that I honestly have watched, but not like fully. Like I was kind of like fast forwarding through it because it's rather slow. But today I wanted to watch it for real, so I sat down. I checked it out. Now, the thing that I did not mention in my in my review of the first film, the remake with Radcliffe, is that is the first Hammer horror movie after their revival. They went down in like the 70s, I think, and then they were gone for a long, long time. And then they started back up. I want to say that was their first film. About 90% sure that was their first film when they came back. And they've made, I don't really see that label much. So I don't know if their resurgence really worked. But I want to look up. I feel like The Quiet Ones, wasn't that one as well? And then I'm going to have to look up what other ones they had after The Woman in Black. But sticking to this one. All right, so a lot of what I'm going to be talking about here is the differences between this one and the Radcliffe remake. So anyway, so he goes in and his boss is of course telling him to go to this house like he does in the other one. Except for this one, his boss is being a total dick to him for being nice to his coworkers and for having a family at this point in his career. So the boss is a real dick. And then when we find out at the end of the movie is that he really kind of just set this guy up to go out there because he'd been there before and he was too damn scared to do it himself. So he not only rips on him for doing for being nice and having a family, but he also basically sends him out to something that he knows could get him killed. So his boss is a real shithead for sure. Definitely couldn't work a job like this. The whole structured corporate type job, that shit just is not for me. I don't like having any kind of authority figure. I am my own boss at work. I answer to no one. I make my own hours. That just I don't think that's for everybody. I think there's people who think they want that, but they become a little too loose with things. A lot of people, when they don't have structure, they fall apart. So I think a lot of people think they want that, but I don't think a lot of people can handle that. But me, I'm the exact opposite. I genuinely cannot handle structured jobs like that. I don't want to come in. I have no interest in showing up. When I can do whatever I want, I make my own hours, I can be my own boss, I'm like dedicated because it's up to me. And I make, if I fuck up or if I do something wrong, I have to answer to me. And that's way worse than me having to answer to someone else because I won't fucking listen to them. Some boss comes over and, hey, Jason, this and this and that. Fuck off. But if I do something wrong, I'm going to beat myself up 1,000 times work. If I'm late to work, if I never call in sick. I've never missed a client on purpose. I've never taken advantage of my situation, in a negative way. So anyway, moving on. I just looking at a job like this and dealing with a boss and all that. Fuck that. I can't do it. And so when he gets to town, everyone in town is pretty accommodating and pretty nice to him. No one is bummed that he's there, and the town isn't dark and dreary. It's it's a regular small town. People are nice. He's in the joint. There's a lot of people around. It doesn't feel like the other movie at all. Atmospherically and whatnot. It's just not the same. Now this film is beloved by people who grew up watching this over in England, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I think maybe because the villain in this is a kid killer, that kind of sticks with him. And if you watch this as a very small child in the 80s, in 89 when this came out, I don't think they were used to stuff like that. So I guess this is why it holds that reputation of, some people call it literally the scariest movie ever made. Whoa. Wow, I don't get it. This is like slow burn, made for TV, British horror. Not my thing. Not my thing. Definitely not my thing. That being said, it's kind of funny to me that the Radcliffe version is the Hammer movie, and this one feels more like certain Hammer films to me than Radcliffe's version. Although the Hammer films that I've seen, I like considerably better than this one, being the, 7 Dracula films, the 8 Frankenstein films, the Quatermass experiment movies, the trilogy of those, so on and so forth. I've seen a decent amount of Hammer horror movies. But then I've seen some other titles that I can't even remember, and they felt a little bit more like this. So they're hit and miss, and this would have been one of the misses for me personally. Like, if I watched this having no connection to the Radcliffe version, let's say that didn't exist or I hadn't seen it yet or whatever, I wouldn't have any interest to go see the Radcliffe one, because to me this is just boring as shit. This is boring horror. Like, this doesn't do anything for me. And I know there's going to be people who love this movie in the comments, and that's awesome. It worked for you. You saw it at the right time, in the right place, at the right age, whatever. Cool. Yeah, but this one was just a slog to get through, for sure. As I knew it was going to be. But I just was like, oh, I did the other two. I got to do this one. And okay, so one of the things I do like better, though, is I like the woman in black being more of just a woman. Now, that's not used to as great of effect, I guess, but I'm not enormous on jump scares. So the first film features all these jump scares, from like some Darkness Falls monster lady kind of thing. And I feel like the atmosphere of just like kind of having her lurk in the background, and then her, like locking eyes with you, and then you like being forced to do whatever, to do her bidding kind of thing. Like, if they could have had that in the movie where the kids kind of like look in the corner and they see her and then they just get up and immediately kill themselves. That's scary shit. Her coming at you, rawr! It doesn't really do anything for me. Now, in this movie, it's still used to a very silly effect. There's I watched this on YouTube, and I'll talk about that in a minute because I have something to say about that, but I watched this on YouTube, so you can go watch this for free on YouTube. And there was the option for the entire film, and then there was an option for a clip that said, a woman in black, that scene, like the scene everyone knows. Anytime you put that scene, it's like the big scene from the movie, the most memorable scene from the movie. And this is when the woman in black is on his bed, I want to say, and she's like in his face, and she's like, ah, and the noise she makes and everything, and the face, the way she looks, it is so dumb. It is so dumb. Maybe when you're like 7 and you're a total pussy, this would be like scary. But I saw it and I was like, oh my god, man, that just reminds me of my old drinking nights when I used to drink back in the day, and I'd like, I'd be laying there in bed and I'd look up and some freaking, not so attractive girl would be on top of me being like, ugh, and I'd be like, ugh. So yeah, it scared me in that way. It was just kind of a reminder of what I have done, but in no other way was it scary to me. So yeah, and yeah, I mean, as I said, everyone's just pleasant to him in town, so this is a drastic change from the other films, since everyone's like, get the fuck out of here. They treat him more like an unwanted guest, like, get the fuck, get lost, loser, go back to Hogwarts, yep, wizarding prick. So our main guy here, he doesn't take credit for saving this little gypsy kid that almost gets crushed in the street. And a kid is actually saved in this version, um, as opposed to the other one where all the kids die that are in peril. And then some guy's like, hey, I heard of this kid and he's got saved. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, that's cool. He doesn't take credit for it. I mean, he's a better man than me. I'd be like, that was me. I saved the kid. Everybody hear that? All the chicks over there, did you hear that? I saved the kid. She's like an orphan, too. It was really, really heroic. You should see me work out sometime. But yeah, I had to mention it just because I'm a credit whore. Now, for those of you who have seen this multiple times and own a copy, does the sound cut out in certain sequences? Because he does kind of grab for his ears a little bit. Is that on purpose? The sound is just completely missing from maybe like 2 or 3 scenes from this film, around like the 30-minute mark when he like sees her out in front of the house, which is a really stupid scene because it's just a woman standing there and she just starts walking towards him and he fucking freaks out and runs off like a pussy and then goes into the house, locks some doors, and then he's terrified when he's running from her, but then he goes in the house, he locks up, and then he just goes right back to work. He doesn't look out the window. He doesn't do anything. He's just like, well, that was scary as fuck. Anyway, back to work. I don't understand those kinds of scenes. It just really is crazy to me. But yeah, there you go. Every time he goes outside, he hears echoes of the past, which of course is the death of Nathaniel. We know Nathaniel's death, and that's the same here. All the characters' names are the same. And in this version, it's a little different because the woman in black, she comes to claim her child, much like the ring wraiths were trying to come and claim Frodo. If you want him, come and claim him. But she takes the kid and then like tries to run off with the kid and ends up killing both of them in the marsh, or killing the kid in the marsh. No, killing herself. Wait, I think I wrote it down. What was it again? She kills the kid for sure. I'll find it. But yeah, she's the one that ends up killing her kid this time around. And she's like pissed at her sister for having to try to steal her kid back. So there you go. Also, the main character in this, his wife is not dead, and he has 2 children. And the ending of this one, I don't know which one I like better. I quite like the one in the Radcliffe version, but I really like the one in this one too. The ending is great. The ending is dark as fuck. It's grim. So, yeah. Anyway. I like that he goes out to the graveyard and there's just a bunch of dead kids in the graveyard. That was cool. He meets this couple with a dog, just like in the other film, the couple that has the dogs they treat like kids, the 2 twin type dogs. This one, it's more one dog, and this couple seems to be a little more normal. The husband does allude to at one point that his kid died at a certain age, so their kid did die from what I gathered, but they don't treat their dog the same way. But this dog, Spider, is yet again tasked to go off with our main character here and give him company, which is hilarious because when I was watching that, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that in the Radcliffe version, he does have a dog go in there with him, and it's so forgettable that it took this viewing right now to be like, oh yeah, he took a dog, didn't he? I have no memory, 0 memory of what happened to that dog after he jumped out of the car and he was like, go with fucking Daniel Radcliffe, go with Harry Potter, and the dog ran in the house. I don't remember what the fuck happened to the dog after that in that movie. I don't know why. I'm sure it's seen again. I'm sure it's featured. but I just can't for the life of me remember anything about the dog. But this one is like front and center. He's walking around the house, he's talking to the dog's barking, he's following the dog all around the house. Is that happen in the other version? Am I just completely fucking crazy right now? It was funny. I was just like, I just don't remember this dog. And this one, I remember everything about the damn dog. It's a little fucking Wishbone dog. Yeah, Jack Russell. I know. But when I was a kid, I loved Wishbone. Okay, I wasn't like a kid. I was like a young teenager. But for some reason, I loved Wishbone. Me and my friends were really, really like into being nerdy. Like on purpose. Like we used to purposely dress like idiots to school to get picked on. I know you're probably sitting there like, yeah, right, you meant to. No, we genuinely did. We thought it was really fucking funny to go to school dressed in the gayest shit we could find, like possibly find from the Goodwill. I remember I found like this, because it was like this one up. It was like who could literally look the gayest. But like trying to not look gay, it was a different time. It was the mid 90s, you know. It was just like you were gonna get picked on, called a faggot, whatever. And I was like, I don't know why we ate that shit up. But I found this shirt, and I was like, guys, I've topped you all. And they're like, oh shit, here we go. And I came to school in it, and it was like a 3XL Winnie the Pooh hugging a big heart t-shirt. And I wore that with these like really small sized Tasmanian devil knitted gloves. And I came up, my friends were like, Jesus Christ, you look awful. You win for sure. We thought it was so fucking funny. I don't have an explanation for our humor back then, but we also were like really excited to talk about the cutest, lamest kids shows on television. The most like prevalent of those being Wishbone. We'd always come to school and talk about Wishbone. In high school, dressed in a Winnie the Pooh shirt, sitting there gushing about the new Wishbone episode and how cute he is. Yeah, I wonder why I got picked on. I wonder why I got bullied. I don't know. We were like Andy Kaufmans of our time, I guess. All right, moving on. And clearly hearing something that was like right there and not being able to see it would trip me the fuck out. Imagine if you like went outside and you heard all of this shit going on right in front of you. You can tell the difference when something's right there in front of you. Like, let's say someone just started talking in my ear right now, or is just talking in this room and like throwing things around the room. I literally am looking around and I'm seeing nothing going on in here. Not a cup moving, nothing. That would destroy me. That would absolutely destroy me. I wouldn't know what to do. I would freak the fuck out, wouldn't you? So like him going outside and he constantly keeps hearing this like horse-drawn carriage like riding past and then crashing into the marsh that he's literally right there in front of him and he can't see anything. That's spooky, man. That's spooky for sure. And I don't think it's used anywhere near as enough in horror, or at least used well. Yeah, much more interaction with the dog. Because the dog even runs off in this, and he thinks the dog dies, and the dog ends up getting home, and we do get to see the dog, so the dog does live. The house is much nicer in this, which makes a little bit more sense to me. The other one, in the other film, is like, no one lived there, and somebody just died who lived here? Really? Like, how? How didn't they die sooner living in this place? This place is a shithole. So, like, he goes in there, it's a really nice place. Yeah, aesthetically, it doesn't look as haunting, but I don't know. I like the sets of the other film better for sure. I think the sets are like what makes that film so great. The atmosphere and the sets and the performances, all that stuff is super super solid. And then let's see. the door won't open upstairs, so he runs downstairs, grabs an axe, and then comes right back upstairs, and the door is cracked wide open. And he's just like, what? This is when you run. This is when you get out of there, you know. But he notices the door is open, and Annie in Halloween does not. You always wonder, like, why didn't Annie come up and use the key? Like, she went back in the house to grab the key. Why wouldn't she put the key in the door lock, turn it, and then get in the car? I get why, because it's to let the audience know something's fishy. Like, wait a minute, that door was just locked. And we pieced it together, and we're smart, and we're like, no, I think Mark's in that car. You know? And then she breaks the fourth wall, which is a really weird moment in that movie, by the way. I was thinking about that today when this happened, and it kind of reminded me of the Annie scene. I was like, why does Annie look straight at the camera? And she does that, like, looks at the camera and is like, wait a minute. Isn't that door was locked, right, audience? I don't know. It's a very bizarre moment in that movie. It's the only one like it. Sound cuts again, so it happens multiple times. And yeah. And then the dog Gordons himself. So this is a phrase that a couple of my friends and I use, Gordoning themselves. Gordon is the dog from Friday the 13th Part 4 who jumps out the window, and there's this big debate between my friends and I on whether or not Gordon dies or Gordon purposely commits suicide, which is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. A dog purposely committing suicide? There's no such thing. The dog jumped out the window for his safety, hit the ground running, and fucking ran off. Simple. I don't understand why there's an argument over this. Gordon ran away. He saw a villainous character coming at him that was a formidable foe. He couldn't fucking beat him. He knew it. He got scared. He ran. He couldn't find an exit, so he jumped through the fucking window and ran off. The end. Gordon's fine. Yeah, maybe he has a couple cuts on his face from jumping through a window, but I don't understand the argument here. He killed himself. He died from that fall. Get the fuck out of here. There's no way. So anyway, same thing here. The dog runs off, and we're like, oh, did he Gordon himself? Even though I don't buy into the Gordoning, but that's what we call it anyways, if somebody commits suicide in a movie, especially a dog. Which no dogs commit suicide. Although that would be kind of a funny. If you haven't ever... I had a couple books when I was growing up that I thought were really funny, and one of them is 101 Worst Ways to Die, Ways to Die, something like that. It's just a bunch of like almost like stick figure type. It's not stick figures, but it's like real shoddy drawings, black and white type stuff of just different funny deaths. And then there's another one called The Bunny Suicides, and it's just a book of bunnies killing themselves in all these different ridiculous ways. So anyway, that's what it reminded me of. And yeah, tries to steal Kid back and gets him and her killed. So they both die in that. So, okay, that makes sense. That's what I thought. There's a lot of focus on this toy soldier toy, but I'm not really sure the relevance. I'm assuming, I think it's Nathaniel's, and that's like the link or something, but whatever. Her scary scream is laughable. That's what I wrote down during that scene. Thought it was so stupid. And then someone burns down the house. So the house is gone. And then he thinks like, oh, I'm done. And he's like haunted by this horse-drawn carriage. So he keeps like hearing it. And then he goes into his place, confronts his boss, burns everything in his boss's office in the fireplace, but like loads it up outside the fireplace and ends up burning his entire office down. Like the well, not office, but the his boss's office, right? I mean, that's, what else did I call it? His boss's room, you know. Step into my office. Yeah, it's an office. What the fuck else would it be called? I don't know why I'm struggling with this one. Is there a different name for this? I don't know. An office to me. But yeah, the boss's office. He burns down that entire fucking part of the building. And then the fire department comes and they're like, "What's the big idea?" And the boss is like, "I'll handle this." And he's like, well, I'll keep this for evidence. And it's like, shouldn't the cops be called? I don't know how this works back then. But they get into the squabble, and he confronts him. And then, he's like, he fired, I guess. And so, of course, as you would think. And I'm just not sure why he burned things like that. Why wouldn't he just like burn them slowly, like in the fireplace, so that it wouldn't catch the whole building on fire? I guess he was just like, it's a fuck you to his boss, because I don't know. I am assuming that's what it is. And then, him and his family try to get back to life as usual. And he looks back while they're on this rowboat, and there's the woman in black, and she's like literally walking on water like Jesus. She's just standing out there right on the water, and then boom, a tree comes crashing down on the boat, killing him, his wife, and his 2 children. Brutal, man. He went upstairs and he kissed his wife and his 2 children goodbye, and then he proceeded to so yeah, I think that ending is amazing and wicked. The rest of the movie is rather boring, but I love the darkness of this ending. And I get it. It's atmospheric, and it's this slow burn, creepy thing where this woman's following you around. Like, I get why people like it. Okay, I'm not a total dumbass. I'm just a little bit of a dumbass, but I'm not a total dumbass. I can understand why people like things. But I also know that I didn't care for this much. So I'll be honest with you guys, as I always am. But yeah, I talked about it. I'm done. I love that it's like, tree comes crashing down, the wife screams out, he turns around, boom, credits. I love when movies end like that. Just like, everyone dies, credits. It's fucked up, man. It's fucked up. I love it. So, great ending. Rest of the movie's pretty boring, but I know some of you love it, and that's awesome. So there you go, the Woman in Black franchise completed, and I'm glad to be done with it, because I don't want to watch anymore.